So, what made you decide to write My Life in Full, and what was the writing process like for you?
Well, I never intended to write a memoir. I was just going to write some policy papers on what needed to be done to support young women to stay in the job market because women are such a big talent pool. And I wanted them not just to enter the workforce, but to stay in it and ascend to the top. And trying to figure out what support mechanisms do we need to give women to have a family and stay in the job. So that was my first, plan. Then, as I co-chaired Reopen Connecticut, it became clear that our essential workers, our nurses, caregivers, they too have no flexibility and they have no support structure, especially young family builders. And so the problem became more acute, both for office going people who have some flexibility and for essential workers who have no flexibility. Both need support structures if you want to have a family and engage in paid work. And we want you to engage in paid work. I realized that the structures are missing. So I wanted to write some papers about it. But then everybody said to me that nobody reads papers for the sake of papers. And a lot has been written on this topic. But if you were to inform this issue using the arc of your life as a story, it would be more readable, understandable, and relatable. So this is not a traditional memoir. It's a story
Mhm.
of the arc of my life leading to the moonshot, which is how do we think about paid leave, flexible work hours, and a childcare infrastructure to help young family members.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. I do enjoy the mix of policy and, your own narrative, combined into one. I think it really made for an engrossing read. So
Thank
that
you.
was great. um, I know. And on that note, talking about your own life story, in the book, you emphasize how family played a crucial role in your upbringing and education, and how living in a multi-generational household provided you many benefits. How did the Indian value and familiar structures you grew up with drive your outlook and your business decisions?
It's interesting the way I was brought up in the south of India in Madras was always one foot on the accelerator, one foot on the brake.
Hmm.
Dream as much as you want, but don't forget your values, don't forget your family, don't forget all of that stuff, and live within that frame. And I think that stood me in good stead. While I progressed in my career, I still kept my values. I'm still vegetarian. I'm still, a teetotaler. Live in a very traditional home. And so it kept me humble, if you want to call
Hmm.
it that, even
Sure.
though I was moving ahead. But more importantly, where my Asian values helped is that the Asian multi-generational family all came in to help me take care of my kids. My husband's family, my family, everybody chipped in to help take care of our kids. Had we
Right.
not had that support structure, I don't know if we could have had kids and kept the job going. And
Mhm.
so I'm deeply grateful to the Asian family structure support and to my upbringing, which told me I could be anything as long as I also keep my feet anchored on the ground.
Right. Definitely. That's definitely a strong point of our culture for sure. It was very interesting, on that note, you mentioned, your parents encouraged you to be anything you wanted to be. So I found it interesting that you decided to pursue a business degree after studying chemistry. What made you switch from the sciences to business?
Very simple. My sister was in IIM Ahmedabad,
Uh-huh.
and I was so fiercely competitive with her that if she got in Ahmedabad, I had to write the IIM exam and get into Calcutta. There was no two ways about it because I didn't want to be viewed as, look at her, she got in Ahmedabad, she's fantastic. Indra must not be very good. So it
Mm,
was strictly competition. I wrote the exam, I got in, and then the rest of it is history.
got it. That's funny. Yeah, I have an older brother, and I'm always in competition with
You
him too.
bet. Actually,
Yeah,
they make us better people.
right. Totally. There's also a strong, emphasis on getting married and starting a family for South Asian women, even though they may be accomplished businesswomen, doctors, lawyers, you name it. What advice do you have on how we can challenge the notion that a South Asian woman isn't fulfilled or hasn't made it until she's married or has a family?
That's age old beliefs that have been held, and you can't do much about it.
Hmm.
Remember, marriage and having kids is for life. It's not something you dabble in, okay? It's something that's for life. So before you choose to get married and have kids, please, please, please be damn sure you want to go through the pleasures of marriage and having a spouse and having kids, but also the tribulations and the responsibilities of that. And only if you're prepared for all of that should you enter into a marriage and have kids. Now, I will tell you, having kids gives you a whole new definition of love. It's a fantastic tether, but it's a tether. You're
Mhm.
tethered to those kids for life. So, you have to hold your own and do what your heart says you should do. Because you don't get married for a couple of years and say, I've had enough, I'm walking away. Just don't do
Right.
it.
Right.
Very painful.
Great advice. Yeah. You were the first woman of color and immigrant to run a Fortune 50 company. Did you feel the weight or a burden of being the first as CEO of PepsiCo? And what legacies and lessons do you hope to leave for current South Asian female CEOs like Anjali Sood of Vimeo and Lena Nair of Chanel?
Well, I think let me answer the second question first.
Sure.
I hope they can look at me and say, if she can do it, we can do it too. Okay, because PepsiCo is such a large global company. If a South Asian woman, immigrant, could run that company, what's stopping this next generation from rising to positions of power in profound ways? So I think that all young South Asian women, all immigrant women, all women, I'd say all groups, should feel emboldened by the fact that other people have done it successfully, and therefore women have a chance. Right? So that's the first point. Now let's talk about the first part of your question, which was more about. Tell me the first part of your question again, Tina.
Sure. I was asking, did you feel a weight or a burden?
The weight of the responsibility. I did,
Mhm.
because I was a role model for women, for immigrants, for people of color,
Right.
for just leadership. And so everybody was looking at me, and I was terrified I would let them down. So I
Mhm.
felt the weight every day. Now, I felt the weight not just for them, I felt the weight of the job. The job is a big job, and I
Right.
wanted to do it right. And I knew everybody was watching me all the time. And so you can't get bogged down by the attention you're getting. You've got to be invigorated by the attention you're getting and lean in to do a great job, which is what I tried to do as much as I can, much as I could. But I
Mhm.
will tell you, a lot of people are waiting for you to fail so that they can take your job. But I must say one thing, South Asians were all rooting for me. I
Yeah.
felt it big time. I did not sense any bad feelings. I didn't sense competition. It was more like, she's doing it. We're so proud. Keep doing it so we can hold our heads up a little higher.
That's fantastic. And I agree. I think that's the wonderful part of being part of the South Asian community. Even with Brown Girl Magazine,
Yeah.
we receive so much love and support from the community. And I think that's what makes us so strong. We're small, but we're mighty.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, that's awesome. What accomplishment are you the most proud of after all of these years as being the former CEO of PepsiCo?
Well, two things I would say. One is the fact that, I managed to, for 12 years, keep this company performing well and under this umbrella of performance with purpose. I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to lead this company and create a legacy that's lasting. That's from the professional sense. From the personal sense, being married to my husband for 42 years and having two daughters, and the fact that they're all my life is my proudest accomplishment, because I love that tether of my kids. I love kids, and they've been. I mean, they would argue I haven't been around much for them, but when I was around, I was a hands-on mom, and my husband has been simply phenomenal, my rock. And so, I view my family accomplishment as sticking with all of them through thick and thin, and my professional accomplishment as two
Right.
pillars of my life.
That's lovely. You're very vocal in My Life is Full in full about the need for the US government to mandate paid maternity leave and for the public and private sectors to also come together and create a childcare system. How can we as normal citizens best advocate for these policies? And as for you personally, do you envision a career in politics in the future?
No, first of all, I never said the US government should mandate paid leave. I'm just saying society should have paid leave. It's a
Mhm.
human issue. Whether companies do it or government do it, whatever, I just think paid leave
Mhm.
should be looked at as a important human issue that
Okay. Yeah.
young people need, because young and old people need, because you never know when families are going to go through some issues. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's one thing. I don't even dream of a career in politics, Tina, because that's just not me. But I
Sure.
think you don't have to be in politics to
Hmm.
advocate for positions. You can be a person with a platform and leverage the platform for purpose, which is what I'm trying to do. Convene people, talk to people, and say, how can we all work together to take all the research you've done and take it to completion? Let's work at the grassroots level to build support. I think politics, there are some people who do it very well. I'm not that person.
Sure. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
No,
But,
not for
how
everyone.
can we as, just a normal layperson, make these things happen, make these policies happen?
Right to your congressmen and senators. That's really the starting point.
Mhm.
Especially, we live in a progressive state. In a nice way, I don't mean in the political sense, but we live in a state where we have paid leave. We have
Right.
childcare that's better than most states. We have a great governor. But you've got to write to your congressmen, senators, and your governor to get action.
Mhm. Right. One of the most powerful lines in your book that I found was when your mother told you to leave, that crown in the garage after you told her you were named president of PepsiCo. What advice do you have for professionals on how to separate their work and personal lives and how to balance the two?
When I came into the corporate world, when there was no technology, there was no Zoom, there was no smartphone, nothing. So, from my perspective, wherever I had to go visit the country. I had to go to my children's school. I couldn't text or FaceTime them. So,
Mhm.
my time was about juggling priorities and hoping that something didn't fall. Okay, so it
Right.
was all juggling priorities. Today, with all of these technologies, you can actually balance work and family because you can talk more remotely. You don't have to go through the trouble of traveling overseas. You can hold meetings in the night from
Mhm.
home. So I think technology is a big help. And I think it's going to allow you to balance work and family a lot more than I could when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I don't think I did a great job worrying about the family as much as I could have because PepsiCo absorbed so much of my time.
Right.
And the time I spent at home, I felt fulfilled, but not enough.
Mhm.
And I always have pangs of regret when I see photographs of my kids that I wish I'd spent more time with them.
Right. Yeah. Time flies and then
Time,
you
oh
go
God,
somewhere.
zips by, zips
Right.
by.
Right. So, on a lighter note, what are you currently reading these days?
Lots of things I'm reading about the future of money, what's going to happen, cryptocurrency, what's going to happen in the whole crypto world. Um, I'm reading about Angela Merkel's memoir, which is just beautiful, written by Kati Maton. It's a
Uh-huh.
really, really outstanding book. Then I read everything to do with the war. I read about, history of Ukraine, history of Russia, trying to figure out why what's happening is happening. So right now I'm preoccupied with global issues to really
Right.
understand what's going on.
Right. And is there anything you like to listen to, genres of music that you
Oh, I
enjoy?
listen to the 70s music all the time, Tina. That's the only, I'm stuck in the 70s. I never advanced beyond the 70s.
It's a good decade. Why
That's
why
a
why
fantastic
not?
decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Late 60s and 70s, really a fantastic time for music.
Hmm. And how about TV, films, anything that you're currently watching?
I don't watch much TV, but I binge watch certain shows.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, all the well-known shows I binge watch. I mean, I just finished season 5 of the Mindy Project from the past.
I love it. Yeah.
Um, I watched Never Have I Never, of course. And
Hmm.
then I watched, morning news, all the stuff that people typically watch, Ted Lasso,
Yeah.
loved all that stuff. So I binge watched these shows.
Right. Great. And now you probably have a little bit more time. I don't know how much more to watch all
Well,
this.
whatever time I have, I do.
Yeah. Great. And what are you looking forward to now in the next chapter of your life and career?
I was about performance with purpose at PepsiCo. Once you leave PepsiCo, you don't drop purpose. So you carry through purpose as a platform. So now that I have a platform, I'm trying to see how I can give back to society, whether it's
Mhm.
working on childcare, whether it's working on Connecticut economic development, working with Memorial Sloan Kettering as a board member. I'm figuring out how to give back to society. That's my primary goal right now.
Mhm. Fantastic. I'm sure everyone appreciates the work that you've done and giving back. And I just love how you're continuing to engage with the community and, you know, using your
Trying my
platform to
best.
do good. Yeah, that's
Trying
fantastic.
my best.
Yeah. What are
Thank you.
3 ways you find happiness in your everyday?
Well, when I see my kids, I'm happy. When I listen to music, I'm happy. When
Hmm.
I see my kids and my husband. When I listen to music, I'm very happy. When the New York Yankees win, I'm very happy.
That's funny. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was interesting tidbit how you became a Yankees fan, reading
yeah.
about that in your book.
Oh, rabbit fan.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our readers and our community at Brown Girl Magazine?
I just like to tell them that, South Asians are extremely smart. Most of them, they're hungry. They want to do well. They want to get ahead. Keep doing that. Keep focusing on that. Don't focus on all the other extraneous stuff. Focus on doing a great job, moving ahead. Focus on fitting in while keeping the best of your culture too. Okay, just focus on being the most competent person. The rest of it will take care of itself.